This is Heath Sanders, and you're listening to TNCRadio.live.
Good evening. Welcome to TNC Radio.live. This is Building Strong Minds with Dr. Christopher Cortman. I'm Tom Kelly. We're going to be with you for the next hour talking about all sorts of different things when it comes to mental health issues. Oh, wait a minute. He said mental health. No, this is good stuff. We're not going to pry. We're just going to talk about some things that you can be doing to increase and build your mind, make it even stronger than it is already. We've been going through an acronym of the word forgive over the course of the last few weeks, and we're getting down near the end, so I guess tonight's letter is H. Oh, wait a minute. That might be wrong. Tonight's letter might be E. But before we get into what the E stands for, let's talk about the word forgive and where we've been so far on this little journey. Dr. Chris, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Hi, Tom. Hello, everybody. I am very well, excited to be here and ready to do another program on the incredible capacity that the mind has to work with the body in a positive way. So, yeah, we were talking about the acronym FORGIVE for probably the last 7-8 weeks. And today we wanted to focus on the E word, which I'm hoping everybody is already well acquainted with in their lives. But if not, the information today I'm going to share, I hope will serve as a motivator. The E word is exercise. And, you know, we just have an abundance of research studies to talk about because exercise is about the closest thing we have to a fountain of youth. And exercise is something that every day we get more information on how helpful it is to every one of the major systems of the body. So, yeah, we can talk about exercise all night, but you probably want me to do a brief review for the other 6 letters of the word forgive. Yes, is that where we should begin?
That's exactly where we should begin.
Okay, so the way I was taught to spell forgive was to begin with the F word, which is forgive. And to repeat what we've been talking about through this entire series, that forgive means to let go. Forgive never condones bad behavior. It merely lets it go. One of the things I like teaching my patients, Tom, is that we elicit the stress response by perceiving a threat to anything that we're invested in. And the stress response remains on until we find a way to let it go. And let it go is the best definition there is of forgiveness. No matter what anyone has ever done to you or to the people you love, as long as you hold on to resentment, regret, bitterness, hatred, sadness, negativity, pessimism, vengeance, all of those things are going to stress your nervous system, keep the stress response on, and lead you to a place of exhaustion where symptoms appear, and then ultimately disease and death. That is the progression of the stress response. And how do you shut it off? We put something in a different place in our mind where we say, let that go, or that's okay. A few hours ago, I was talking to a man who a month ago, he said, Dr. Cortman, I'm a nervous wreck. And I said, talk to me. And he said, this Putin thing, I don't know what's going to happen. I think we might have a World War III. I think that he's got nukes over there, and just a nervous man. And I said to him, I understand. I recognize he might not be the world's most stable human. I understand he has lots of power and authority to make decisions, but I will guarantee you that you being a nervous wreck will not change anything that he's going to do. It will only destroy your mental and physical health in a very short period of time if you keep your stress button on the way it is. He's telling me he's not sleeping, he can't eat, he's obsessing, he's watching 24/7 news. It's like, we're going to have to let that go. We're going to have to give it to God. We're going to have to give it to the people who actually have some power. What can you control? We talked about, you want to make the world a better place, be kind to your neighbor. Send nice messages to the friends and the family. Do random acts of kindness in your sphere. But to destroy yourself because of what's going on in the global economy or the global warfare, or the international relationships between countries, all you're doing is hurting you. You're not helping anything. So it's not that I'm teaching people not to care, but rather to let go of things that they can't fix, change, or control. Forgiveness is about letting go. The O word, again, is optimism. And study after study demonstrates that people who explain the world to themselves in a positive way, people who find that there are things always to feel good about, the people who find that they always have reasons to feel like they are blessed and that there are things to believe in. We have a wonderful research study or studies on people of faith, and basically all faith where people believe in some kind of benevolent God or a positive outcome or a universe that makes sense, all people benefit from faith. The only people, according to research, that do not benefit from faith are people who believe in a fire and brimstone, kind of an angry, punitive, I'm going to drop an anvil on your head God, a God that you live in fear of because he's going to send you into a lake of fire, punish you. When people believe like that and live with that kind of fear, they don't benefit. My point here, Tom, is that optimism, thinking that things are going to work out, thinking that things are worth pursuing, that there is goodness in the world, there is kindness in people, there is a sense of helping your neighbor, all those things benefit. And again, I've said this in a few of the shows, but some of the benefits are astonishing, because how could an attitude of optimism lead to better outcomes in pregnancy? Well, it does. And how does it lead to better outcomes in terms of longevity? It does. Cancer, it does. There's all these research studies that say just by being positive, things come out better. So that's the O word. R is relationships. And again, long-term relationships between man and woman, long-term relationships between man and man, friends, having best friends, help people recover from illness, recover from financial challenges, recover from divorces. People do better when they have love in their lives. Married men, so much healthier in so many ways than single men, because they have a life partner who cares about them. If you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of friends, it's one of those things that I would encourage people to fix or change right away. Why? Because now we have research that says the opposite. Isolation is a major health risk. In fact, it's called the new smoking. Since smoking rates are down so low, isolation is now a bigger health problem. It's supposed to be worse, Tom, than obesity. So people spending too much time by themselves, not having others to connect with, it's an actual cardiac risk. And again, you and I have been talking about things that people can invest in, like we did in the last last time we talked about volunteering and investing. By getting involved in things like that, you have a way to connect with people like you. If you're of a certain faith, go to that church or house of worship and meet people like you. If you like a certain sport, do a fantasy league, play a softball league, do a co-ed naked bowling league, whatever. Get involved where there are people, because relationships help people tremendously. The G word is gratitude. And, gratitude reverses aging, and gratitude is linked with happiness, and gratitude is linked with longevity. And gratitude has a way of changing a person's perspective on whatever they have in life. And it's something that we can teach our kids, and we can teach our middle-aged guys, and we can teach our elderly women, and we can teach people. It's healthy for you to be grateful. Let's start by being grateful, and contact the people in your life and tell them how much they mean to you. When was the last time you did that? If you haven't done it today, find somebody in your life to say thank you to, or I appreciate you, or I really enjoy having you in my life, or whatever it is you need to say or do. My last patient was a sweet little 12-year-old girl who survived a brutal attack from a psychotic mother who stabbed her 14 times and tried to drown her. And this little girl, has a deep-seated resentment and trauma. And I've been working with her for a few months, and today she brings me this gift in. What a beautiful thing, a way of just saying, I like you, I appreciate you. It means the world to me, this little gift, because it's gratitude. It basically says that my life is better because you're in it. The I word is investment, and that means we have to have stuff that we care about. The opposite of that is that life has no meaning. And people struggle significantly when their life is purposeless. And the opposite of that is having things that matter to you. And, sometimes you can just hang with friends and get passionately involved in your local football team or baseball team or whatever. And it's good because it's an investment. And you can see how emotionally charged you get just by rooting on a team. And some people I've seen in the town where I work, they get behind the local teams and they go to all these different sporting events. They go to girls volleyball, and they go to lacrosse, and they go to football games, and they just root on the kids, and and it feels like they're excited and they're passionate. And it's good for them, but it's really good for the kids too, to have people in the stands cheering them on and knowing their names. It makes them feel proud and important and worthwhile. Like, I'm representing my town, and there are people older than me who are excited about what I do. The V word is volunteering. And as we talked about last week, step out of yourself, especially you depressed people, because by stepping out and helping others, it's one of the best things you could ever do for yourself. We have a way of helping ourselves every time we help others. Remember the wise man who said it's more blessed to give than to receive. Well, that was said thousands of years ago. You know what? Today we have research that says, hey, that's actually true. We have research that says that people who give, people who volunteer are happier and healthier and live longer. They have better attitudes, and all of these things. Everything I mentioned is also true in terms of their physical health. You actually get healthier physically by maintaining these different attitudes and behaviors. Why is that? Because the mind and body are not separate. It's all one connected organism. How we think has everything to do with how we feel emotionally, has everything to do with what choices we make, and then how well we do medically and physically. You want to be a healthy person? There are things we can teach you to do to help you be healthier than ever. And that begins with an attitude that has all of these things. Let go of resentment, be grateful, be positive, be loving towards others. These things work. They actually work to promote your own mental and physical health.
Fantastic. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about tonight's word. And you said it's the E word. You said what it was. Oh, exercise. Yes.
Exercise. I know a lot of the guys already shut it off. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, too bad. Hang in there with us. Maybe it's not as bad as you think. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. This is Building Strong Minds with Dr. Christopher Cortman. I'm Tom Kelly. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Finding a safe place to park your rig at night can be a challenge on the road. The Truckers Network, a membership resource site for trucking companies, company drivers, and owner-operators, proudly partners with Truck Park to offer safe and secure overnight truck parking to all Truckers Network members. Truck Park is the digital truck parking leader and America's fastest-growing truck parking service. The Truckers Network exists to link truck drivers with the best quality trucking products and services the industry has to offer. Finding safe overnight parking is crucial for truck drivers, and many drivers struggle with finding available parking spots. The limited parking availability causes drivers to lose sleep, which poses a safety risk to others on the road. Safe parking is valuable for drivers and the cargo they're transporting. With this partnership, Truckers Network members will have access to a discount code and be able to reserve parking spots in real time along their truck route at a reduced price. Truck Park gives drivers access to parking locations across most of the United States. Simply enter the city and state to view available parking spaces nearest a pickup or delivery point, then pay to reserve. Parking rates vary at each location, with some rates as low as $10. Truck Park is a values-based company that empowers truck drivers while providing a safe and unmatched experience. The company offers a quick way to find and reserve parking spots throughout the U.S. Truck drivers have access to Truck Park's free mobile app to easily begin reserving parking spots based on their truck route. About the Truckers Network. The Truckers Network exists to link truckers and trucking businesses throughout the United States. The company's mission is to make the life of a truck driver easier by connecting drivers to the highest quality trucking products and services to keep their trucks on the road. You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson, weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
That's right, snap along. Dr. Christopher Cortman on the piano there. Nope, I'm being told that was not Dr. Christopher Cortman on the piano, but we do appreciate Dr. Cortman being with us today. We've been going through the acronym FORGIVE. And
that was me. I was snapping my fingers. It just wasn't the piano. You had me on the wrong instrument.
Gotcha. Professional snapper. I guess there probably are professional snappers. I shouldn't say that, right? Probably somebody someplace.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's their official job. They've studied their whole life to snap in a particular rhythm and loud snaps, soft snaps. So you probably have 16 different types of snaps. So go professional snapper. But hey, tonight's word, exercise. Should people turn this off or should they keep listening?
Well, they could just snap along, and that could be a type of exercise because you're moving. And I say that only partially tongue-in-cheek because there's some good news. I know that not every guy listening to the show is, Charles Atlas. I know that there are some guys who have been so busy with their work and their families that they don't get to the gym, and they've put a little pooch on their belly and so forth. But I want to begin by saying wherever you are, we can start from there. And what people are saying now is, it's great if you can get an hour straight of a jog or a walk or a lift or something. But if you could do short segments of just move in your chair. They have these things now, I think they're called cubies, where you put them under your desk and you just pedal while you're working on your your laptop or something, and you're pedaling underneath, or the guys are driving, and I get that. You can literally move your arms when you're driving in all different directions. One hand on the wheel, please, but you can get out and you can stretch, and you can get out and you can jog in place. Small amounts of movement over a few minutes makes a difference, according to the researchers. So, you want to get beyond that if you can, but never think that you can't do it. That's black or white thinking. I don't have time, so I don't do anything. Now I want to say, even if you're watching TV, you can get a stationary bike or a Cubie or something where you can go to the gym and catch up on your reading by doing some of these machines, an elliptical where you can read while you're doing it, or you can watch your favorite program. My girlfriend does the elliptical 3-4 times a week, and she catches up on all the shows and phone calls she needs to return, and she's working out. I mean, when you're in a busy world like the one we're in, sometimes we have to be a little extra creative in order to get some exercise in. But, why would we want to get exercise in? The research just keeps pouring in. I mean, there's so many positive studies. We now know that you can reduce your chances for a stroke by exercising, reduce the chances for diabetes, osteoporosis, cardiac, heart problems, cancer, even cancer. We never thought that you had a chance to do anything to protect against cancer other than, don't smoke. No, we know that people who exercise regularly are far less likely, to battle cancer. And it's dementia, and the most common dementia is Alzheimer's disease. Less chances of Alzheimer's disease just because you exercise. One expert said, Tom, if we had the ability to put exercise in a pill, it would be the very first thing that doctors would prescribe for every illness known to man. Imagine that. You come in and you have lupus, and they say, here's your exercise pill. Now we're going to give you some medications that are appropriate to treat lupus. You have a cardiac issue. You had a myocardial infarction. Here's your exercise pill. Now we're going to give you some meds for cardia. No matter what your issue is, the very first pill they would give you would be an exercise pill, but we don't have exercise in a pill yet. So the next best thing is we have to do it. We have to find some time to put exercise in our lives. And for me, I think of it as so important that it's never an option. For me, it's mandatory. It's already on my calendar. I know when I'm going to be exercising, and that way it's just a no-brainer. I don't ask myself, do you feel like lifting weights? The answer is no. I never feel like lifting weights. I'd rather lay on the couch and veg out. I'd rather, watch mindless TV or something. But it's not an option. It's not an option. My car is going to take me there, whether I want to go or not. And I'm going to go to the gym. Tomorrow night at 6:15, I'll be at the gym and I'll be working out because I don't like what happens to me when I don't do it. It's not that I enjoy exercise so much. I've made friends with it. I've made peace about it. It's going to be something I'll do for the rest of my life, or at least until I can't anymore. And you know what? It's okay. Whatever time I put into it, it's okay. Back to the research. We improve our sleep considerably. I have one of these Apple Watches my girlfriend got me, and this thing, whenever I exercise, tells me what kind of effect it has on my sleep, and it'll remind me, whenever you burn more than X calories, your sleep is deeper, and your sleep is healthier, and they even, they have different levels of sleep. I go into a deeper sleep on days when I do more exercise, a more restful sleep. And that's sleep is restorative to the brain and the body. And it all comes down to I'm getting the deeper sleep because my body is forcing me to sleep because it's tired from the exercise. One of the best ways to defeat insomnia is exercise. Well, we got a new study out that said of all the treatments for anxiety, the very best one is difficult exercise or strenuous exercise, meaning that you really want to defeat your anxiety, get out there and push it a little bit. First check with your doctor if you haven't been exercising. But the point being, if you can, do some sprinting or play some pickup basketball or hit the weights or do the elliptical or just walk.
So here's a number for you you'll find interesting, since I know you like interesting numbers. 33. 33, that's how many laps around your truck equals a mile. 33. How about that?
Yeah, and pay no attention to the people staring at you as they drive by walking around your truck.
No, the drivers know that this is an important thing these days, and so what's success? Walk a mile.
Absolutely, because so many people go to the doctors these days with mental, emotional issues that show up physically. And the doctors are well aware that I can give you this pill, but this pill is really for, it's a SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and we prescribe it for depression and anxiety as well. But it's like it's not really designed, to do what really needs to be done, which is to have the mind shut off the perception of threat. But when you get involved in rigorous exercise, it forces the body to relax, Tom. And it's such a fantastic treatment for anxiety, but it's prevention of anxiety. I used to like to, when I had big talks, I would go jog 5 or 6 miles before the talk. And I couldn't get any anxiety up if I wanted to, because I was just in this nice, post runner's high kind of thing, and just a positive state, because that's what happens when you work out. We don't regret our workouts. We regret not working out. I don't know about you, but I always feel better after a workout, unless I've injured myself in some crazy way. But it's always a pleasant thing when the workout is over. And, to find out, you pick an area of the body, and there's a research study that says exercise does good things. Walking. There's 2 studies I want to talk about, and you let me know how much time before the break.
We got about a minute.
All right, we'll do one of them. There's a famous study out of Duke University, obviously a great school, where walking was compared to sertraline, which is also known as Zoloft, as a treatment for depression. These were depressed people, and they were asked to walk or take the pill. And for the first, I don't know how many weeks exactly, maybe 6 weeks, they were pretty well running neck and neck. And then the walkers blew away the antidepressant group. They stayed well. They not only got well from their depression, they stayed well. They didn't have the recidivism or the regression back into depression that the people taking the antidepressants have. It's a very famous study because people were amazed that something was not only as effective, but more effective, considerably more, statistically more effective than antidepressant medication.
That's amazing, and we're going to talk more about that and more about how exercise can change your life and help you on your road to building a stronger mind. Right here on TNC Radio.live. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. Many years ago, there was a psychologist, Dr. Gordon Allport, who introduced a concept called functional autonomy.
What does that mean? Well, interestingly, it means that we start a behavior for some reason or another, and then that behavior takes on a life of its own and has no connection whatsoever to the original reason or reasons we started it. Let me give you an example. A girl starts smoking cigarettes at age 13 because she wants to seem grown up or cool or connected with her friends or whatever reasons. She's still smoking at 47, and it has nothing to do with the original reasons she started. Now she's smoking because, for one, she's addicted to the nicotine. Maybe another reason is she's tried before to quit and she gained a bunch of weight. But it has nothing to do with the original reason. Her behavior now has a functional autonomy. It exists on its own, even though it has nothing to do with the original reasons why she started. So what do we do with this information? Well, hopefully, we understand why we're doing what we're doing now, and then look for ways to change that behavior. So in the case of this woman, we understand that there's an addiction to the nicotine, so that needs to be addressed. And we understand that there's a concern about gaining weight, so we have to address that. In other words, the original reasons, we don't need to look at them because the behavior is now connected to the current motivations to continue smoking.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7.
We were just talking about walking. And I promised I had 2 studies, right? And I gave you one from Duke. Well, here's another one out of Pittsburgh. And I would say this is one of the most remarkable studies I have ever heard about anything, let alone exercise or walking. University of Pittsburgh, studying people's brains, and more specifically, the memory center of the brain known as the hippocampus, which sounds like a college in the Serengeti, but it's actually a little small part of the brain that is really important in how we process memory. And here's the deal. Here's the bad news, Tom. When we hit age 55, 60-ish, this little thing starts to shrink, as do other things. And it can shrink as much as 1% in a year. Now, that's not good. You do the math. If you're 55 or 60 and you lose 1% every year, you're not doing so well when you hit 90 or 100. So these people were all measured in terms of their hippocampus. And then the researchers divided them up into 3 groups. And the first group, they said, for the next year, you are to do nothing. And everyone applauded because they were good at that. And they went to the second group and they said, we're going to give you some exercises that are just light stretching and maybe some yoga positions. And the third group, they said, you guys are going to walk. And you're going to walk 40 minutes a day, 3 days a week, which to me doesn't sound like very much, but okay, these people are all over 55, 60 and up, so this is what they're going to do. Well, they came back in a year to remeasure the hippocampus of the brain, right? And the first group and the second group averaged 1% shrinkage. And the third group, the walker group, not only did they not see shrinkage, but they averaged 2.4% growth to the hippocampus of the brain. It didn't shrink, it grew, only because they were walking 3 times a week 40 minutes a day. That's astounding to me. And why? Just because they were moving, they were walking. There's nothing against the light stretching and yoga. That's great too. We want to be flexible. We want to stretch. But this research said doing some walking, just walking, repaired the brain. There's another study. This one came out of Canada and involved little old ladies. And they were introduced to weight training. And those two things never go together in my mind. When I think of little old ladies, I never think of weight training. I don't think of them in those Arnold Schwarzenegger cutoff shirts. Those two concepts are never in the same sentence. But there it was. In Canada, they taught these little ladies to begin weight training. And what they found was that by doing so, they saw repair work done to potholes in the white matter of their brains. There was actually reparative work to their brains just because they taught these little old ladies to lift weights. And I understand it's even better in the States because of the exchange rates. But point being, just doing exercise is repairing the brain. We got research that says your sex life improves when you exercise. We have research that says your self-esteem improves, your mood improves, you're smarter. It actually improves IQ. By the way, we have research that says getting on an antidepressant, and I'm not against antidepressants, but it drops your IQ on the average about 3 points. Exercise actually increases your IQ.
Wow.
It helps with addictions. You are more likely to get off an addiction of any kind if you begin exercising. Another fantastic, little bonus from working out. Here's a crazy finding from a research study. People who exercise become more reliable. They start doing things they're supposed to do just because they started exercising. We mentioned that it's protective against brain deterioration. It actually heals brain, but it protects you against your brain's natural deterioration. It just goes on and on and on. It's good for your heart. It's good for your liver. It's good for your kidneys. It's good for digestion. We digest food better. There's a fabulous study. I think I mentioned this in an earlier show, that the two things I've read that actually reverse aging in the body, one of those was gratitude and the other was jogging. Huh. Just by jogging, you actually reversed aging in your body. And so, my comment was, I've learned to combine the two so that when I finish a jog, I go, oh, thank God. So what the point here is, anybody can exercise and everybody will benefit, not just in one small way or two small ways. You name the system of the body, and even your attitude improves just because you're working out. So, all right, you guys are driving and your schedules are crazy. And those are reasons to you can't be in the same place every week to play on the basketball team. Yeah, I get that. So what's the answer? The answer is do whatever makes sense given your circumstances. You mentioned 33 times around the truck. That's funny, but your point is well taken, which is how many hours do you have of downtime? Where can you, in most places in this country, there's a gym that will honor, whatever membership you have in a similar one in your state. Or, you got to stay somewhere and you can walk around the grounds. Maybe there's a place where, you can swim, or a local YMCA, or, I guess my point is sometimes we have to be creative. Sometimes we have to be innovative. Sometimes we have to adjust to our circumstances. But whatever it is we have to do, the big key is we got to move. We got to do something.
I was looking at another study and just saw it today coming out of the University of Leicester, which I believe is in Ireland. And they found a correlation between a person's natural gait when they walk. You know, some people are fast walkers, some people are very slow walkers. And they found that those who were fast walkers were outliving those who were slow walkers. You know, so if your natural gait is, you just, my wife calls it my airport walk. Because in a few times that we've traveled together, sometimes I kind of leave her in the dust because I get my bag and, you know, and I've got the rollers and I'm going to go to gate 37 and everybody better get out of my way because I'm headed to gate 30. But, you know, maybe if I walked that way more often, you know, more determined, that would be a healthier thing.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. You know, I'm not a fast walker. I have short legs. I walk 3 miles an hour. I know that because I walk 7 days a week and I have my little watch on and I know how far I go. Today I walked 7-something miles and I'm going to walk 7 days a week because it's good for me and I love to eat, Tom. I don't know about you or the listening audience, but I'm going to assume that that's not a weird fetish of mine. I love to eat.
Sure.
And so one of the ways to keep the pounds off is to keep the miles coming. And again, it's improving my sleep. And, you know, I'm going to lift every other day in addition to the walking. But it also, I think there's just getting out and walking, you're getting the vitamin D from the sun, which is also quite restorative. As long as you protect your skin properly, get outside and walk. It's I know it's hot. It's hot here in Florida. It's hot in Houston where you are, but sometimes we have to walk more earlier or whenever we can handle it. So again, you have to always adjust. Flexibility is important in life.
Sure.
And if it's not perfect, your circumstances, we got to be creative and work with what we have.
All right. Well, hey, I tell you what, we're going to work with what we have and take a quick break. Come back and can you believe how fast this hour is going by? Come back for our final segment right here on TNCRadio.live. This is Building Strong Minds with Dr. Christopher Cortman. Stay tuned.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 6 safety tips for truck drivers while driving in the rain. As a truck driver, you'll experience driving in dangerous weather conditions. Driving in the rain creates difficult and dangerous driving conditions for truckers. It's important for truck drivers to be alert and cautious when driving in the rain. Check out our 6 safety tips for truck drivers while driving in the rain. Slow down. Wet roads make it difficult for a driver to control their truck. A good rule of thumb is to drive 5 miles per hour below the speed limit. In some cases, you might have to drive more than 5 miles an hour below. Professional truck drivers adjust their speed according to the weather. When driving in dangerous conditions, only drive the speed you're comfortable with. Leave space. Leaving the appropriate amount of space between each vehicle is important to always avoid standing water while driving in the rain. Wear your seatbelt. Wearing a seatbelt is a requirement for all truckers, especially in dangerous weather conditions. Eliminate distractions. While driving in the rain, eliminate all distractions. If you drive with the radio on, turn the volume low so you can concentrate. Avoid touching your GPS or looking at it for long periods of time, and avoid using your cell phone. This blog on TNCRadio.live has been brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Don't miss Marcia Campbell, North America's trucking sweetheart, Thursdays at 6 p.m. on TNCRadio.live.
Welcome back. TNCRadio.live. Tom Kelly here along with Dr. Christopher Cortman. Dr. Cortman, we've certainly had the opportunity over the last few weeks to go all the way through and talk about this acronym, And we've learned a lot. So kind of putting a cap on it, how do you want to leave us?
I will never leave you nor forsake you, Tom.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Sorry.
Too.
That's a biblical quote.
I recognize that.
How do I want to leave? I want to say this entire series was designed to provide and promote hope. You know, the best antidepressant in the world is actually hope. And I want people to understand that it's not like this is your life and there's nothing you can do about it, but rather there's a lot you can do. No one can ever make you lose a positive attitude. That's yours to control. There are many things outside of our control. That's true. You know, there's the war, and there's international politics, and there's traffic, and there's crime, and there's humidity, and there's all kinds of things external to our control. But, you know, I encourage people to take complete control over what belongs to them. And that is what you think, what you say, and what you do. And these are all evidence-based choices to think in a certain way, to behave in a certain way, to prioritize certain aspects of life, like gratitude, or prioritizing friendship over just withdrawal into one's own entertainment world. That there are things that seem to matter more, and we respond, we prosper from making good choices. So I wanted to, I created that acronym just by putting together pieces of things that I was reading and learning about, and thought, there's a lot of things we can do to be well. There's a lot we can do to promote our own mental and physical health, even if life has thrown curveballs at us. Sometimes life is really hard. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He just lost his wife of 42 years, and he's really sad. And he goes to the doctor, and he finds out now he needs open heart surgery. And I said, in football, they would call this piling on. There'd be a flag down because you can't hit the guy when he's down this many times. And yet life does that. It's, having spent this kind of time talking to humans, I realized that a lot of things happen in a short period of time. We can have years of life where nothing traumatic or catastrophic happens, and then we hit a period where we lose like 6 people we love in a matter of months. What happened? And the answer is nothing. Life does this. There's an Old Testament quote that says, God makes it rain on the just and the unjust alike. Poop happens to all of us. Life is hard. As written about in M. Scott Peck's book, that The Road Less Traveled, that life is difficult. But it's not that we just have to, suffer through life. We have choices. There are things we can do, to live a more prosperous life, more successful life, a happier life, and even a longer life. And they seem to have a lot to do with attitude and a lot to do with love. We need purpose. We need love. The researchers and the theorists all say at the end of life, Tom, we better have people that we're connected to, and we better have things to do that make us feel necessary. Because if we don't, it's a stage of life that Erik Erikson wrote about in his 8 Stages of Man, and he said the last stage of life is about generativity versus stagnation. We either give back to younger generations and make a difference by being there for them, or we stagnate and feel without purpose, and we feel useless. We feel put out to pasture. From the day we're born to the day we die, we need to feel like we have purpose and we have human connection. And so purpose of this series was to say, hey guys, however life treats you, whatever's going on in your life, here's some things that, according to the research, can make you more well, a little happier, maybe even help you live a little longer.
Well, this has been a fascinating series, and really appreciate you taking us through this, Dr. Chris. So to our listeners, do us a favor. We'd like to know what you'd like for us to tackle next, whether it's a one-off kind of thing, or if there's some particular series that you'd like for us to study or talk about or share over the course of the next few weeks. We're an open book. We've got some ideas, but we want to hear your ideas. So send email to Dr. Chris at tncradio.live, or you can send it to info@tncradio.live. Let us know what you think.
You may actually have to threaten them, Tom, that if they don't pick, we're going to pick for them.
Yep. And
they might not like our choices.
Right, because I'm already throwing out the acronym supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, which I have no idea how you spell that, but
I think with an S.
Yeah, and we'll go from there. But I think that the tncradio.live is programmed by truck drivers, for truck drivers, and commercial drivers, and we want to hear from you on what you'd like to hear on this, and of course any of our programs, but especially here. Dr. Chris, we've got just a couple of minutes left. If people want to learn more about you, hear more of your stuff, etc., where can they go?
Well, first of all, I'd want to know what's wrong with them. But then I would say srqshrink.com. I am happy to talk to these people. I'm happy to meet with them. They can find out about the books that I have. They can call my office. They can probably even get me on the cell phone.